Hey, what's going on, everybody? Wednesday, 6:30, so y'all know what time it is. It's pretty amazing, Cam, actually, if you think about it. We've been doing this every single Wednesday for the entire year. I think we've
Yeah,
maybe only missed one Wednesday.
and very consistent too. Sometimes you're traveling or I was traveling, Chris is traveling, and then we fill in the gaps. But every single Wednesday we've been showing up on here, and I think that says something to say not only about um, you know us and the way that we show up for people, but also for the people that are being consistent. They're able to see, oh wow, these doctors actually must have people that listen to this stuff, right? I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, good to see old Dan and Vicky Elam popping in here. Good to see you guys. Yeah, we had to get a little dance going on. You know what? It's just
Yep.
I feel like there's something physiological that occurs in a positive direction when we get a little dance in. And I'm not gonna lie, I've missed seeing everybody on after hours. But Dr. Chris have the night off tonight. He's been rocking and rolling with us being in and out. So
Yeah.
we were like, you know what? We're gonna let you take the night off. I think what we're talking about tonight is something very critically important. But before we get to that, going to give away a $50 5-star nutrition gift card. Now, the reason for that is because, as always, we like to help out our partners and the people that we promote, is because we truly believe in what they do. The guys over at 5-Star Nutrition, they offer amazing products, but they also offer very good insight into your own health and the InBody scan, which we've talked about several times on previous shows, which is the ability to analyze your skeletal muscle mass, your body fat percentage, also your basal metabolic rate, which are all very good health indicators. So we're going to give them a little shout out, give you a chance to pop in there. Lucky winner is going to win a $50 gift card to go check them out. Maybe grab some protein, grab some supplements, some creatine. Maybe we'll get into what creatine is. Maybe we'll talk about that. But what we're talking about is exhaustion, fatigue, low energy levels. There's nothing worse than getting to this time of the year. And I would be willing to bet if we were to ask 10 people, I'm going to ask you, if we were to ask 10 people, how many people do you think in the month of June suffer from low energy levels right now?
On a scale of 0 to
So if we ask 10 people, how many do you think of those 10 would say they're suffering from low energy levels in the month of June currently?
right.
How many do you think, if you're guessing?
I mean, even just based on what we see here in the clinic, I'd say anywhere between 7 to 8, so 70 to 80% of people right now.
It's a common thing during the summertime. During the summer months, Terry Ayers says 9, then 9 out of 10. So throw your guesses up in the comments if you're curious. Out of 10 people, how many do you think suffer from low energy levels, fatigue, or exhaustion? This time of year, summer months are a culprit for this. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, kids are getting out. You know what I mean? School's out, vacations.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's out of routine. I think part of it is people get out of their normal routines. Now all of a sudden we got kids at home, which means now everything kind of shifts from kind of routine-based things to kind of sporadic things, right? We got baseball games, we got tournaments, we got travel, we got vacation, sleep gets all messed up. There's also something else that occurs that typically that people don't really take account for, which is the change in the summer solstice and how that affects the sunlight and the moon and how quickly it gets dark and how later it gets darker so much later now. You know what I mean? So right now, I mean, if you were to look at what time it gets dark, I mean, it doesn't get dark until 8:30. I mean, it's late. I mean, it's super late. So so 8:15 is sunset tonight. So versus like the fall months and this whole daylight savings time, and what happens is we go to bed earlier, it gets darker earlier. See, now you're getting tired just talking about it and thinking about it.
Yeah, it does, man.
So if you think about it, it gets darker later, which means you get sleepier, and you inherently now are going to go to bed later than you normally would during the fall months. And so then what that requires is if the sun goes down later, that means it's coming up earlier. So now we got to get up earlier. Looks like Miss Terry was saying in Utah last week it was 9:30ish. Yeah. I'm going to be in Edinburgh, Scotland next week. I was just looking today because I'm already in preparations because we're going to give you some tools on how to get your sleep and to get your everything regulated to where you don't suffer from energy levels and exhaustion as much, if at all, anymore. Some tips and tricks we've known to be true. But I was looking at Edinburgh, Scotland. It's going to get dark at like 9:30. So,
Wow.
and then it comes up at 4:30. So there's only like 7 hours, 6 hours of
Darkness.
sunlight. I mean, darkness. Yeah, it's crazy, man. That's crazy. So the summer solstice affects it. What are maybe some other things you've seen over the last couple of years taking care of people when it comes to things that why the summer can be a little more exhausting?
Well, because they exhaust themselves way too early in the beginning. The beginning of the year happens, and obviously New Year's resolutions. And whether we subscribe to New Year's resolutions or not, there is a drastic difference of the energy levels that shift between December to January. And so when that happens, subconsciously or consciously, regardless of however it goes, we tend to push ourselves, whether it be with work, whether it be with our diet, whether it be with working out, our physical fitness, whether it be with our children, whether it be with family. Um, the biggest thing is whether we think we're doing it or not, the beginning of the year, we're actually going a lot, we're expending a lot more energy early on at the beginning of the year than we realize. And what happens is then in June, we're like, well, why did I just hit a wall?
Yeah. Well, and also I think if we look at, well, I was telling you this earlier today, one of my favorite things to do right now is observe the gym in June in comparison to January. January, everybody's hip hop, up early, grinding it, and then come in June, ghost town. everybody's on vacations, out of their routines, they're tired, they're exhausted. And another thing I think super critical to talk about when we're on this topic of low energy levels, fatigue, just exhaustion, pure exhaustion. Because if you look at it's just all an extreme, right? Like there's some people who just suffer all the time from fatigue. I think we've had a couple of viewers here talk about that. And then some who it's sporadic. They suffer from it sometimes, not all the time. And one of the things that's critical to understand in the way the human body works is our adrenals are very, very critical for energy levels. And the adrenals are located on the kidney. They're actually a little gland that is on the back of the kidney. And it's largely responsible for a lot of things, but one of the things it's most responsible for is hormone regulation. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to norepinephrine and epinephrine, the stress hormones. And one of the things that will drastically affect the stress hormones on the kidney and cause adrenal fatigue, which is something if you're not familiar with, and if you're struggling with fatigue, exhaustion, that's a high likelihood. And especially if it's a daily thing, it's a very high likelihood you're probably suffering from what's called adrenal fatigue, where the adrenals are fatigued and they are releasing stress hormones, which is leading to a suppressed immune function and also low energy levels. One of the number one ways that can lead to adrenal fatigue, and I'm going to really get a lot of people uncomfortable with this, which is the design of the show, is to open your eyes to what's possible with health, is your adrenals can get drained very quickly by excess caffeine.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
So if you're one of those who's drinking 5-6 cups of coffee a day, you're drinking 2 energy drinks a day, you're drinking, a lot of caffeine throughout the day. Yes, throughout the day, you're going to be okay, but there's going to reach a point where your adrenals undergo fatigue because the caffeine in excess quantities and amounts actually stresses the system and it causes the release of epinephrine, norepinephrine, and some other of these stress hormones. So the first step is you need to really take a look at your caffeine intake. What would you say in your view, Cam, is a healthy intake of caffeine per day?
If you look at the daily recommended amount of would be recommended for someone who, or the upper tolerable limit is what it's called, that is actually capped out at, I believe it's 400 milligrams a day. Honestly, I think that's a bit high. And listen, I mean, we're always going to be very honest, very transparent with everyone in here. There was a period of my life where I was, no joke, drinking about 600 to 700 milligrams of caffeine a day. A ton of coffee. I would get like I would justify it because I'd be like, oh, the ingredients aren't too bad. But the caffeine is what was bad. But I was drinking some energy drinks. I mean, just ask the guys, my daughter was born and just trying to get through, and it helped for a period of time. Then you crashed, and then I had to go on a complete caffeine detox. Grant did as well. He'll explain that more to you, but I would say comfortably is 200 milligrams of caffeine a day for me. But I've actually myself recently dialed it back. So now what I like to do is I have 2 cups of coffee. I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning when I do my scripture study. After I get home from working out, all of us at the gym, and then I'll have a second cup when my wife wakes up and her and I sit down and have some conversation in the morning. Those are my 2 cups of coffee, and I'm limiting it there. So what we're looking at there is about 160 milligrams, but that's me personally. I would say if you drink a lot of caffeine, 200 milligrams is going to be that perfect balance. It's about 2.5 cups of coffee. That's about 3 shots of espresso. And that's about one, believe it or not, that's about one energy drink. Most energy drinks contain 200 milligrams of caffeine.
Let's talk about energy drinks for a minute, because that's one that, listen, folks, if you are on the energy drink bandwagon and you're drinking energy drinks, I can 100% say without a shadow of a doubt, you are under adrenal fatigue.
Yeah.
Not only are you under adrenal fatigue, your liver is probably also not doing real great, which is really important for detoxification, which can also lead to fatigue. Your body's just never not processing some sort of toxin. But the chemicals, folks, the chemicals that are in these energy drinks are not good. Yep. And they are contributing to a large epidemic of people who have adrenal fatigue issues, low energy levels. Yes. And it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because people go, oh, well, it's designed to give me energy. Yeah. For about 3 to 4 hours. And then you're going to crash and and then what's going to happen is you're going to get to where it's not as effective and you have to drink more of it. And, and then we start to get issues.
My friends, we want to be very clear with this too. If you are on that energy drink caffeine or the energy drink bandwagon, it is time to get off of it. And the reason why is because there is a direct link. If you look up, not asulfate and potassium, but the big energy drink that's out now, it's called Prime. I'm sure everyone here has heard of Prime. Has not only asulfate and potassium, but it also has sucralose. Sucralose is directly linked to migraines. Sucralose in the pathway that goes down, it's not good for migraine sufferers. And what's tough is that there's some doctors that'll even tell patients that, oh yeah, take an energy pill or take a caffeine pill or even take an energy drink that's no sugar. And these no sugar energy drinks, it's almost better if you had one with sugar because for migraine patients, because the asulfate and potassium, but also the sucralose inside of these energy drinks are actually contributing to people's migraines.
And neurotoxic.
It's a neurotoxin, and it's debilitating for a lot of people.
Yeah. So if you're out, so the first step, take a look at your caffeine consumption. Less than 200 milligrams per day, and make sure that it is a natural caffeine source. Green teas, coffees. These are natural caffeine energy sources. Synthetic man-made energy drink sources, no bueno. Got to immediately sell those to your neighbor or give those away to the, and by all means, do not let your kids drink these things either. No. This is so neurotoxic. It's so bad for our bodies, the stuff and the chemicals that are put into these things. I have yet to find one energy drink that is healthy. I have yet to find one. By default, you look at the ingredients, they're terrible. So assess your caffeine intake, make sure we're not energy drinking. Second thing we want to talk about, the number one culprit that zaps energy levels the most is sleep.
Yeah.
I just saw a couple of people posting in here, and it looks like I think it was Dan was just saying we don't need to drink caffeine now. We drink IV water. Yes, the liquid IVs. Big electrolyte proponent. You're a big electrolyte opponent. Got to get plenty of electrolytes. If you're not getting electrolytes, then what's going to tend to happen is, again, it's going to contribute to that adrenal fatigue through the kidneys. The kidneys operate really well with electrolytes. So the recommended ones from Dr. Grant, Dr. Cam, liquid IV, no sugar or sugar-free, Element. I think those are the top two that we really like.
Yeah, and liquid IV too. I'd be careful with liquid IV, even with the sugar-free. I'm not sure what that. I know it's not sweetened with stevia. I forgot what it's sweetened with, but I'd be careful with that one. Our by far favorite here in the clinic is Element. We will drink a liquid IV, especially if we're at the store, because stores don't contain Element, but we do try to make sure that we keep a healthy stock of Element for electrolytes, because those are those are, I would say, in the current market, Element, which is LMNT electrolytes, are the gold standard of the electrolyte drinks that are out today.
Got to have a plenty of electrolyte balance in the kidney, and the kidney can function better, which allows your adrenals to recover if we're not drinking too much caffeine. Adrenal recovery, not adrenal fatigue, and kidney balance. Your kidney is your long-term regulation of blood pressure. It's also your long-term regulation of a lot of hormones, including vitamin D. Last thing is sleep. Really got to make sure that our sleep game is, and I would be dare to say that if we were to look down this list of 11, 12 people who have popped in and out of here on our show tonight, so it's spelled like this, Element, LMNT. What's going on, Tony over at Omega One? What's up, my guy? So here's the thing. You want to make sure sleep. If I was to look down through this list and ask how many of you have a sleep wind down routine, I would be willing to bet there's 0 people on this list right now who have a sleep wind down routine. We have a lot of morning routine. Most people, we wake up at a certain time, we make our coffee, we eat the breakfast, we drive, we get to work if we had to be there at 8, we roll up at 7:58, 27 steps in. We're just very routine driven individuals. What we are not routine driven that we should be is when it comes to our sleep and our wind down routines at night. It is critical and it's paramount for sleep. Well, what can that look like? Give us an example of what a good wind down routine would look like for sleep.
So wind down routine consists of 3 different things. It consists of actions. What actions are you doing to wind down your body? It consists of patterns. What patterns of behavior are you following emotionally to make sure that things are regulating? And it's also making sure that the third component of that is the time, right? So what time are we going to bed? What's beautiful is we have an entire free guide on this. Now it's in our app. If you look up the specific centers on the App Store, it is a gray S with a white background. We actually have this very specific thing that I'm talking about as a guide written from us here at the specific chiropractic centers for you all. But those are 3 components. It consists of the actions. What actions am I doing to wind myself down? So, for example, if you're going to the gym an hour before going to bed, that is not an action that's going to wind you down, because what happens with that is your body temperature goes up. Your heart rate goes up, and it's a lot harder to wind that heart rate down. The second thing I'd be careful of, and if Chris is on here, he and I could debate on this all day. We can debate on it all day. I do not recommend cold exposure at night. The reason why is because it can wind down some people's nervous systems, but for the most part, it's not going to wind the majority of people's nervous systems. And the reason why is because cold exposure is going to increase your body's internal temperature. And what we want to do at night is decrease our body's internal temperature, or decrease the temperature within our environment. So that way we're able to get better effective sleep, because our body naturally increases our temperature when we go to bed. The last component I would say, kind of like as a thrown in, my friends, keep your house cold. You keep your house cold. We keep our house, it's going to sound crazy, we keep our house at night at 67.
Wow. Okay? I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by that at all.
We keep our house at 67 degrees. Sometimes, depending if it's like in the winter, we'll keep it at 68. But the reason why we keep our house at 67, 68 degrees is because when it's cold like that, our bodies are actually able to help fall asleep a lot faster, because we have to understand that naturally when we fall into sleep, our body's going to increase temperature because it's doing a ton of work behind the scenes. When it's increasing temperature, if we keep our house at 70 something degrees, let's just call it 74. If we keep our house at 74 degrees, our internal temperature is already up from the environment of the house. Therefore, it's just going to kick up higher, and it's going to be a lot harder to stay asleep, because our heart rate's going to get kicked up. But those are the 3 components, my friends. Our actions. What actions are we doing to wind down? Actions could be, for me, what I like to do is we put the girls to bed. My wife and I sit down. We'll talk about the day. We have like a swing on our back porch. We may read scripture together, make some tea. And then what patterns are you following? Meaning you must have a consistent routine. And then the third part is that timepiece. I have a set time when I am in bed. My friends, it's not asleep. I have a set time when I am in bed, and that the rest follows. Okay. So for example, for me, it's got to be what I try to keep it at is 10 o'clock. I'm in bed way before that. Or I try to be asleep by 10, but I am in bed by 9. Rarely ever does it get to 10 unless like Megan and I just, start having some good conversation. But those are the 3 patterns of behavior that one must follow to develop a very consistent and effective routine.
And if you want that guide, you can also join our free Facebook group, Happier, Healthier Arkansas. We drop all of our guides in there for free. And so if you want that guide, just pop in there and get added to the group and say, I want the sleep wind down guide. We'll send that to you. And it's also within the app. Like you said, you got to remember, folks, bears hibernate during the winter, not the summer. There's a reason for that. The reason the bear and the other animals hibernate during the winter is because that's when they get that best deep sleep. In fact, so deep that they literally sleep an entire season because it's cold. It loves to be cold, lowers the heart rate. Our breathing actually gets a little bit easier. And some would say, well, but it gets a little harder for me when it's cold, when I'm breathing and it's cold outside. The reason for that is because you're intaking more air. So it's uncomfortable than you do in the summer. Summer, it's a lot harder to intake air. Ralph says his bedroom's 65 degrees. He's got you beat by 2 degrees, man. My man Ralph is in a meat. He can hang some meat in his bedroom. Got the meat locker in there. And then, another tip too, just to add on to what Dr. Cam was talking about when it comes to actions, eliminate screen time. Oh man, this is a big one. Eliminate screen time at least an hour before bed. And I'm as big of a culprit as anybody, folks, because listen, you're looking at 2 millennials who love tech. So phones, iPads, iWatches, TVs, right even really, like even TV, like any blue light can really cause your brainstem to go into wind up. And what we mean by wind up is, we're getting a lot of boos for this one. I felt like we might. So most people would say, oh, that's how I fall asleep. Right, you fall asleep, but do you stay asleep? That's another, and the last tip we'll follow up here in closing is this. There's a big difference, my friends, between going to sleep and staying to sleep.
Totally.
There's a huge difference. A lot of people can go to sleep. Very few have a hard time staying asleep and getting that deep REM sleep that leads to that really high sleep score is allowing that brainstem to go into dormant hibernation mode, which is known as REM sleep, which leads to vivid dreams and very, very deep sensation of sleep, which will leave you waking up more rested and recovered. So if you slept 7 hours, but you were up and down 6 or 7 times through that 7 hours, you were only consistently asleep for 30 minutes to an hour at a time. That's not quality sleep as categorized by the Sleep Academy. So what are some ways we can get to where we can get effective sleep throughout the entire night? Follow these tips. Every tip we just gave you, look at your caffeine intake, look at your wind down routines, look at the degrees you're sleeping in at night. All of these things, watch this back on replay if you're just joining us live. Let's give away something. This has been fun. Appreciate everybody joining. We're going to go ahead and listen. 5-Star Nutrition, they have got some amazing products as well, when it comes to sleep. So, another big one I will just say too, melatonin is a very popular sleep aid. It's a natural source of sleep aid. I would actually say that it's probably more wise to actually take tryptophan because tryptophan as a supplement is converted into melatonin. Yeah. You want to take something your body can naturally produce. So your body can naturally produce melatonin. What we don't want to do is introduce melatonin because then what it'll do is it will shut off the signal of your body to produce melatonin. Tryptophan is not produced by your body. It's consumed in the diet. So that's why if you were to just think like the best nap, best sleep you've ever gotten in your life, it's that Thanksgiving meal at 2:00. The reason for that is because you ate all that turkey and ham and it's full of tryptophan and it got converted to melatonin and boom, it puts you out. So a nice little wives' tale you could also do is just eat a lot of turkey and ham and foods high in tryptophan right before bed. Or you can do that as well as supplement it. That will get converted into melatonin. Let's see here. Let's give away something. How am I going to do this tonight, Cam? We've got a lot of viewers in here who have commented and engaged with us.
How about we go through? So if you have not commented, if you haven't commented yet, right now is your time. Go ahead and comment.
Yeah, just comment on there. Just put, this was helpful. If this was helpful, and just say, hey, this was helpful. Or, hey, guys. Or, this was fun. Or nice shirt, Dr. Grant, or Cam, your hair looks great. Some sort of comment in the comments, it will get you entered to win. We'll give you guys just a little second longer to enter that. And what we'll do is we'll just randomly select a number and then write down the comments.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sound good? Sounds good. We'll give everybody. Let me see here.
I love it, Tammy. Great comments.
Yeah, I think there's lots of people popping in here with some comments. And yeah, I'm glad you guys find this valuable. We just try to pop on here every Wednesday and provide a little bit of insight into some of our knowledge that we've acquired by consuming way too much caffeine and doing all of the things that we said not to do just now to get through chiropractic school to acquire this knowledge so we can pass it on to you.
Yes, my friend.
Because I can promise you, I have suffered from adrenal fatigue and low energy levels and exhaustion for an entire 4-year period while I was in chiropractic college. I know Dr. Cam speak the same. And let us pay the dummy tax for you on the things to not do. Because I can tell you this too. I went on an entire 4-month fast from caffeine and a lot of other things. And I can tell you this, coming off of that stuff, it's a little difficult for the first week or two. Once your body comes out on the other side of that, energy levels go through the roof, so long as you focus on your diet as well, which we will talk about on another week. Let's do a random generated number, Cam. Let's take a comment here. Looks like I'm not sure how many comments we've got here. Let me check here.
Let's say, give me a random number. I'm going to ask Google. Let's see what Google says. I typically ask Siri. Siri, for those of you that don't know, Siri's my second wife. I ask her and I talk to her a lot because even Grant gets to me. Grant's like, why are you why do you use voice to text? I'm like, because it's easier. If you use voice to text, go ahead and comment, please. Give me a random number between.
Hold on. Looks like 51 comments. Number between 1 and 51.
We have
38. 38. Let's see who 38 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Vicky Elam.
There it is.
That's comment number 38 right there.
There it is.
Vicky Elam, great tips. Habits are made to break.
That's the winning comment.
And maybe that's what we'll talk about next Wednesday is how to create habits and not break them. Ooh. Yep. Is it, my friends, there's a big difference between habits and New Year's resolutions. Resolutions are just figments. Habits get ingrained. They get created. Vicky, congratulations. You are our winner this evening. Here's the even better news. I will see you hopefully soon, and I can get you that. And the good news is next time you and Dan go to Little Rock, you can swing by 5-Star Nutrition. Tell them that we sent you, present that gift card, get your InBody scan, get all of your valuable supplements, and finish off the second half of the year with some good stuff.
Come on.
Any last parting words there, Cam, before we sign off until next Wednesday?
My friends, it's always a pleasure to be able to hop on these after hours with you guys, be able to provide you guys a ton of value. We're grateful for every single one of you guys. And as you guys know, our mission here at the Specific Chiropractic Center is to be the beacon in our communities by providing, utilizing resources for the sick, suffering, and helpless to help be able to make this impact. We're grateful for every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you guys have a great night. And our vision, as always, is to make Arkansas the happiest, healthiest place in existence. And we're going to keep showing up on Wednesday night at 6:30 until that, my friends, is a reality. And until next time, next Wednesday, same time, same channel. Bring a friend with you next time, 6:30 p.m. See ya.
See ya.